Ready? All right, good evening. This is the September 4th, 2024 Services Committee meeting for the City of Sunbury. Could I get a roll call, please?
Oh,
Here.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Here. Mr. Grumney.
Here.
4 present.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from our August 7th meeting. Can I get a second? Second. Second by Mr. Grumney. Roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Ayer. Yes. Mayor St. John.
Yes.
4 yeas.
All right, it doesn't look like we have any visitors that want to talk tonight, so we can go right into new and unfinished business with Consolidated Electric.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have a couple of representatives from Consolidated Electric who are here this evening with us. They approached me, I want to say earlier this calendar year, but it might have been late last calendar year, talk a little bit about our electric service agreement here in the city of Sunbury. But what I have asked them to also do, though, is give you a better perspective on who they are, what they're currently serving. They are a big player here in the city of Sunbury. So with that, Brad Ebersole, Dan Boysel, I think Brad is going to lead the presentation. So invite Dan up, or Brad up.
Thank you for having us today. My name is Brad Ebersole. I'm the Economic Development Executive and Consolidated Cooperative, and I have Dan Boysel here, who's the Vice President of our Community and Public Affairs. Is that right? Very good. Okay. Never happens. Remember his title. So here today, we're actually here to talk about, give you a little background on Consolidated Cooperative, and maybe for those that aren't familiar with us as a company, but also a little bit more about the cooperatives and a little, maybe just a touch on a little bit about the electric model as a whole from a grid perspective, because I think it's important to understand who we are as a cooperative and how we fit within the overall grid. So we'll talk about that at a very high level really quickly. There's a breakdown of your distribution, transmission, and generation basically are part of the grid system. And we are a distributor of our electric services, meaning we're the folks that get it to the end user of the home. Transmission are the big lines that you see crossing in service area for this particular area, as you probably well know, is AEP transmission primarily. We also do services with First Energy as well in our service territory. We are part of one of 24 cooperatives throughout the state. And our service territory is right here in Central Ohio. We serve primarily, actually we have a slide here. We're a not-for-profit business. I think that's important to understand that we do our services at cost. We have about 18,000, a little over 18, almost 19,000 members these days. We actually, as a company for not-for-profit, we do our services at cost. And we actually, as a member, you're not a customer, you're a member with Consolidated Cooperative. We actually give what's called capital credits back at the end of the year. We retire those excess funds back to our members and give them capital credits. You can see here on the slide, we have just over almost $2 million since 2021. And the map on the right kind of outlines a little bit about the service territory we serve, primarily Marlow, Delaware County, but we touch all those surrounding counties as well. So we have a substantial amount of service area that we provide. And we're also governed by our board of consumers. They're actually our members and our board that help us make decisions throughout the organization. We have 83 employees. Most of those local. Actually, all don't know any of them travel more than 30 or 40 minutes to our services. We have 2 offices, one in Mount Gilead and the other one in Delaware. Dave and I are both positioned out of the Delaware office, out just off of 521, up near the Kilbourne area. Something to note is that we actually provide, we have 1,890 miles of service lines that we serve in our area. That only equates to 9.67 members per mile of services. So we serve primarily the rural areas and by PUCO service territory areas. Many of the IOUs, such as AAP or others, primarily here in the Sunbury area, are AAP customers. Their density is much more, up in the around 30 members per mile. So you can see that we have to spread those costs over much less customers, but we remain competitive in the services. Again, providing our services at cost. So some of the services we provide, I've talked about the electric service, but it's important to note that we also provide propane and natural gas services to areas of our service territory. Most of that natural gas service area is up in the north, in the Morrow County area, but we also bring that down. Guys, I come down 61 ways. I couldn't tell you exactly the end mile area, but we provide natural gas services as well. We also do fiber to the home. We've been in the fiber business for many years now. We're continuing to expand that service as we go, and hopefully some of your members all have it. I love the fiber services. It's a fantastic product. You can see that we're a growing cooperative. We have been around since the 1930s, and our service territory, just as location is, city of Sunbury. Not that long ago as a village, you understand the kind of growth we're having. We actually are experiencing that same growth in our service territory, which is great. We're probably one of the fastest growing cooperatives in the country, actually by percentage wise. But in comparison to the large IOUs that have millions of customers, we talk about our size. We are a smaller organization as one. But if you look at some of those other growth potentials and you look at it on a national basis, I showed you that map in the beginning that from a national perspective, cooperatives serve a grand part of the country. So we serve a lot of areas. Just a quick note on the fiber, you can see where some of our growth and where we're headed with that, some of the areas that we're getting ready to serve. I believe we'll expect to have served all our service area, our service territory by the end of 2025. That's correct. Is that right? Okay. And those are areas that have not been served previously. If there's other services already available, we may not choose to go there, and those are some of the areas in which you're seeing on this map that we're moving forward on. We take safety very seriously within our organization. We are ranked with one of the most important things as employees is we take safety into concern. And I think that's important. It's been a great piece, not only as linemen and our services there, but it's also internally with the office and all folks. We do a lot of safety training. So it's part of our culture. And I think those are important things to know and understand. So a little bit about who we are as a whole and some of the things that we follow accordingly as cooperative are that we really believe in relationship building. As many of you know, we work on the relationship side of it. We're vested in the communities that we serve. We also make sure that we're good stewards of our from a financial standpoint, and again, member owned and member managed with our boards. We also are very active in the legislative efforts, making sure that things are looked out for our best interest as a co-op. As a whole, and that things such as right now, I think we're all aware of, there's some challenges from a transmission and standpoint with limitations of power. And legislatively, as cooperatives, we work together to try to advocate for the best interest and the long-term interest of our country, as well as our own cooperative and our own communities. We also try to market and make sure that we're offering the right services. You know, fiber was not a service that we did. Natural gas, propane, those are all outside of our core business of electricity, but they have been needs from our members. And who knows what the next piece will be? You know, today it's fiber as the bright shiny point, as one would say, of the services that we provide. But it may be something else in the future that we'll want to, our members will need and not be able to be served. One of the core things about the cooperative that I always felt very strongly about is it was born out of a necessity from the country, both that were not receiving the services, electric service out there. So it was the mothers out there that didn't have electric and washing machines and all those other things that folks in the city were able to provide. And so if you take that mentality and continue to move that forward on the other services that we provide, it's really where we go with it. I mentioned that we're community involved, and we are, and I think it would be easy to speak to most people here in this room, see us in a lot of engagement, you know, past city, our chamber president. I'm currently on the board here at the chamber. We're involved not only in Sunbury, but also in Delaware, Morrow County, and Knox County, and regional planning, and a host of other things. I sit on the SEDS committee with Daryl, Joe. It's sat in many board meetings. I've been a past president, and I would say the cooperative is great about being engaged, willing to let us take those opportunities to be engaged and find ways in which we can make the best of our communities that we serve. We have youth tours, we have youth scholarships that we offer as part of our organization. We have our solar program. We have 300 panels over at our office in the Delaware office that we offer our members so that if they choose to want to receive some renewable energy, they can use that as part of their bill. And we've offered that service as a way of providing additional things. We have the People's Fund, something that you may or may not be familiar with. That's a fund that's it's actually a roundup on our billing. So if your monthly bill is, you know, $100.92, it's $191.01, and that 8 cents goes forward. It doesn't cost each member very much on an annual basis, but we've been able to apply those funds in many different ways for needs of our community. Don't know how much you have around.
Almost $2 million.
Thank you. I knew it was a big number, and I didn't want to over or underestimate that number. Thank you. Our co-op connection card is another thing that we offer out there. Local businesses can apply with some type of discount. You use the co-op card and receive those discounts. Just ways to further engage our community. And we have a PAX, again, talking about that legislative aspect of engagement. So we talk about economic development, and we do a lot within that. We also have a revolving loan fund that we offer. It's basically gap funding for those businesses that need some type of additional funding to get them over the hump. And we offer that as part of our services and part of the economic development department. We manage that side of it. So I want to talk a little bit about those PUCO territories. So we're here to talk about today our franchise agreement with the city of Sunbury. It's probably good to give you a little perspective of what areas we currently serve by PUCO territories. The designated territories, as you can see, are not nice, easy squares. They're all over with weird angles and different things. And so we wanted to provide you a little oversight of the Sunbury area as a whole and the service area that we cover holistically around Sunbury. I've got it broken down into a few different maps so that we can kind of focus in maybe a little bit more on those specific service areas. So we serve Hitachi, for example, down there in the industrial park and the new high school and those types of areas. But you can see that that line kind of works its way over, and anything that isn't in the pink shading is not our designated service territory. But we know that you guys have a lot of growth coming, and these are areas that we may have an interest in being able to help serve. I've got a west one here to kind of give you an idea of where that is, and you can see how those 2 points kind of come together over here on the middle, upper middle area. And you can see to the far west side as well, over towards Allen Creek and around 71. Knowing that you have annexed property to the west of 71, we're starting to get pretty close to some of the service territory that we serve as well over on that side. So we wanted to make sure that you're familiar enough to understand where those service territories are. And then over to the east, you can see we don't have a lot of service. There's a pretty good gap over there, but it does work over not too far to the east. So those areas are serviced currently by us and are part of our service territory. And as annexation occurs in Sunbury, there's probably going to be more discussions about those service areas by this designated service territory. So that's really why we're here to talk about the franchise agreement today. Before this an issue of discussion further in the future, it's really about the future. So have the proposed agreement, and we have copies of it as well. We can talk about, but I could probably click into that show. You know what? We have copies of it. We'll get the proposed agreement. And there's that. Okay, thank you. Almost done, actually. So for a franchise agreement, one of the key things about our franchise agreement and what we're looking for today is really just put ourselves on an even playing field. AEP has a franchise agreement in place today that allows them to serve any areas within the city, future development as well. And here today, we're really talking about wanting to just have an equal playing field in the franchise agreement that mirrors AEP's actual franchise agreement. Some of the reasons for what we're asking for today and the benefits to the Sunbury community are really some of the important aspects of it. Again, I mentioned the franchise agreement will mirror the investor-owned utility. You know, I've actually probably mentioned almost all of these benefits in regards to when we were talking about consolidated, but we are invested in the community. We're easy to work with, you know. Folks make a phone call, I answer the phone. You're right here, we're local folks that invest in back in our community, and I think those are key things. We want to make it easy to do business, and I think that's exactly what Sunbury wants to do, is making it easy to do business together with folks, inviting them. If it's difficult to do business, folks spend their money other places, and it's millions of dollars, and it's jobs, and it's growth that may be needed. So we want to make those as easy as possible for folks, and so in this instance, as growth continues, and mind you, any franchise agreement, we're only looking at really new development, nothing of overlapping services that are already here. We're not talking about places that are already developed and trying to go in and sell new services or new electric services. That is not our goal here. This is really focused on new development, and we really are talking more so on the commercial and industrial opportunities that may grow within the city of Sunbury. I think I mentioned all the other things related to this, so I just want to continue to move forward. We provided the agreement. This is really just a quick comparison of the two agreements As you can see, we currently have a franchise agreement. It was under the Delaware Rural Electric, before you consolidated with Amaro, Rural Electric, both consolidated cooperative. And you can see that this is already in place today. And AEPs. The key aspects of where those differ is that AEP has the right to serve in any service territory area. And we're just looking for that equal playing field, the same opportunity to do the same as AEP's franchise agreement was in place with the city as well. So as you can see, this is just a copy of what you have in hand, and where the changes and requests we're looking for with the city of Sunbury. Wanted to make sure that Daryl had suggested coming with services, that you make sure you guys understood what we were asking for today. And going forward to when this comes in front of council, hopefully asking for your support. Did I miss anything? Are there any questions?
So,
If I can highlight.
Sure.
I'm up here, so sure. Yeah, to highlight, the differences, and I think that. Throw that on the ground, that's. But I wanted to highlight just the differences between the three franchise agreements that we're speaking of, to make that clear. In 1989, Delaware Rural, received a franchise agreement, which allowed us as a co-op cooperative to serve within our territory in the city. So follow territory lines. A few years later, Columbus and Southern received their franchise agreement, which you're allowed to do under home rule, and give those out. And theirs is granted to be along any of the streets or alleys that are laid within the village of Sunbury, and it's highlighted in there. So that's anywhere within the village, and it doesn't talk about territory. And that's all. So that's the market difference. And this the one that we're proposing actually is the same wording as what the investor owns is, or AEPs, and just allows us to serve within the village. And it is. And one of the parts that you flip it one more. That's what that says up at the top. Distribution of the same within and through the city of Sunbury. And it is granted not to be construed as exclusive. So we're not asking for exclusive franchise agreement, but it's actually one where if a new customer, new member, a new customer will come in, a business customer, commercial customer will come in, and they would have an option to serve who they would like to have served. That's been successful in Delaware over by the airport, where the new Myers store is. That's all in the franchise agreement, and was we were able to win that business thing. Point being, it gives them an option to do that. They can go with AP. What we have found at times is that it's good to have that option, because it then gives somewhat competition about who can not get there first, but who can provide service on the back.
So Brad, Dan, thank you very much for that. So just as a reminder, we're not asking for any action from the Services Committee this evening. We'll do additional due diligence on this request to equalize the franchise agreements, work with legal counsel on that before we bring that back to council. But I did want to just, again, want an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Consolidated. They are already in our city. They're already providing benefits to the community. We've benefited in our industrial park. Our largest employer is using them as an electric provider. We've certainly benefited from the fiber they've put in the ground, although it's not necessarily under the Consolidated name anymore, but the city has benefited from that as well. So again, mostly just to kind of get an understanding of who Consolidated is, their presence here, and the fact that staff is working on this matter. So that's the only purpose for tonight's discussion. So if there are questions, we'll take them, but if not, again, we'll be back with more detail later.
Of one or a couple.
Sure.
I've known you guys. And when you say you build relationships, you truly do. You are community oriented and you're member owned. You give back to the community. You truly do build relationships. You've got a quality company with quality people. and a quality item, the quality source of electric. What took you so long to get here? I will sign right now. I'm all in.
Well, thank you for that. We'll do some additional due diligence though to make sure that we, that there just aren't any landmines that we've missed, so.
Daryl and I spoke about this 6 months ago. I think I saw Brad 2 days later. And I said, you guys work together and get this done. And sounds like that's what we're working towards. I mean, free market, let the competition win. And yeah, I mean, you are a great company. I appreciate the market insights, what's going on with PJM and the constraints on generation. I mean, these are not formal reports. These are, hey, this is what's going on in the market. Brad called me, Dan called me. So very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks again. Thank you.
The only other comment I would make to Molly is, we were in front of the council, it's been 15 years ago.
He wasn't here.
It's been a while.
The time wasn't right. And so you were never off our radar. It's just time.
Thank you very much.
I do have a question though. If you do win a contract here, can existing customers that belong to, let's say, AEP, could a house can't? Okay.
So we were in front of the PUCO back in, and I think it's right around.
Why don't you jump to the microphone? Yeah, just.
We didn't go in front of the PUCO on this specific issue. And at that time, it was ruled that yes, home rule is in effect, and that we can serve, or you can serve outside your territory within the municipality boundaries. But at that time, it was only, they only discussed commercial and industrial. So we didn't try anything else, and so that's the way it's always been read and kept over the last 15 years.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, on to other updates. We have Sunbury Estates Sidewalk and Tree Project again.
All right, I know we've been covering this quite a bit, but now I've got a schedule to share with you that I didn't before. So packet page 21, you've seen this chart or you've seen this image before. These are the streets that or the trees that are targeted for removal. I did identify there are two opt-outs that we received from residents who basically say they don't want their tree removed and they'll take responsibility for their sidewalks as well. So one, just want to let you know kind of how that has progressed, but we do have the tree company lined up to begin the removal of the trees next week. There'll be 2 weeks to remove the trees and grind the stumps. And then beginning the week of September 23rd, we've got the contractor for the construction for the concrete work scheduled to come in and begin the concrete repair. So in the next couple of 3 weeks, you'll start to see contractors in the neighborhood working through these issues. The other thing I wanted to note is we, working with the city arborist, we did identify tree replacement options. We have pushed that out to the residents as well. Identified, I think it was 4 tree replacement options. I would say we heard back from maybe half of the residents with a preference for what tree they'd like to have in their yard. So, or in the tree lawn. So we'll order those trees and the service team will install the trees. The goal is to have the trees installed later this calendar year. And then, ready to be watered and what have you when the spring comes. So anyway, that's the update, just to give you a sense of the schedule.
For the residents that don't pick a tree, are we just gonna like do an alternate every other?
Yeah,
or something
I'll
like
work
that?
with the arborist to, see if he has a recommendation on how to deal with that.
And I'm just curious too, and maybe we talked about this, Lord knows this is a 2-year-long project, so maybe I've forgotten. For the folks that opted out and they're taking responsibility for their own repairs, is that in perpetuity, like they're planning on leaving the tree in place until come hell or high water and just continually replace the concrete? Okay.
Yep. We have said to the property owners that have opted out that we would highly encourage the sidewalk replacement to be done within the next 12 months. So we will be following that as well to make sure that they do follow up on the sidewalk repair.
Right, because my thought is it's just gonna ruin the repaired sidewalk even faster
Understood.
with the.
Understood,
Okay,
but yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I'm clear on that. Okay, Walnut Street stabilization project.
I'm going to do the update on the next two projects.
Excellent.
So the Walnut Street Stabilization Project was here at the committee meeting last month. So you had an update on the construction of that project. It is currently out to bid for construction contract, and the bid openings are on September 19th at 3 p.m. over at the municipal building. With that timeline, I anticipate having a construction contract at council sometime in October, likely the second meeting. Any questions?
Questions? No?
Likewise,
Great.
the next item.
Yep, go ahead with wastewater treatment plant then.
So this one's a big one. I've got 3 different contracts and action items that I want to talk to you guys about that will eventually go to council. So for this project, it is currently out to bid for construction with the bid opening on September 13th. It was delayed 1 week so that the contractors could have a little bit more time to get their bids in, and that was directly from feedback that we received from contractors. With that timeline, the construction contract should go to council as early as October 2nd. That's a tentative date, so we'll see if we can get it here during that time. And then there will be 2 other contracts related to the wastewater treatment plant expansion. One for contract administration, and that contract can come as early as September 18th for CT's contract. And then for construction inspection services, which is currently out for RFP. So we will be accepting those requests for proposals with that opening on September 23rd and bringing that to council hopefully on October 16th. Questions?
So like we've done with some of our other more recent projects, we are separating the contract administration from the contract inspection services. So that's the reason why Carlos speaking to 2 different contracts here.
We need the work. There's no doubt about that.
You were out at we walked you through I forgot. You want to tell anybody about your tour of the wastewater plant?
I have to say, I was really impressed. Mr. Wampler does an outstanding job. I was really, really impressed with how clean the place really is. And we got to see everything. And what surprised me most of all, though, was some of our outdated equipment that keeps breaking down. We need those to be in operation, especially as quickly as we are growing. So we definitely need new equipment and enhancements to the plant.
Yeah, just to note, I mean, the equipment is old. It does require a fair amount of maintenance, but the team is doing a great job of keeping them operating. So they understand what the schedule is. And we would anticipate, I think it's a 2-year construction project once the contract is awarded. So Dale and his team are operating accordingly. Now, the other important thing to note is, while this is going on, the wastewater plant will continue to operate. So that's one of the components of the bid package, is making sure that the contractor understands that it's an active wastewater treatment plant, needs to remain an active wastewater treatment plant throughout the construction phase. So
I too did not realize there was so much science involved.
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for the updates. Good to see this finally coming together. Off on a tangent here a little bit, but we've got tons of time. I hadn't asked in a long time about wastewater staffing. How's our staffing at treatment plant?
Well, We were at 4. We lost one of our wastewater staff employees. Our most recent hire, he hired in January, really, a great addition to the team. Just indicated he was interested in maybe doing a little exploration out west. So, and he's relatively young, so now it's a good time for him to do that. So he's submitted his resignation. We have gone back out seeking additional staff. I think we've received, I think, 2 or 3 applications at this point. I know Dale is working on lining up at least one of those applicants for an interview. So we're at 3 at the moment, but we understand, doubling the size of the wastewater plant, we really need to increase the overall size of our team too.
And what's the certification level that we have right now, other than?
So he is an operator 3.
Mhm.
And I think the plant remains a 3. I can't remember exactly what drives it to a 4. Even with the expansion, it's still a wastewater operator 3. And then the other 2 employees are operator 1s.
All right. Well, thank you for the update.
Good question.
Do we have any other updates or unfinished business?
At our next meeting, can we get a capital plan for next year? Just any equipment expenditures that are planning to be budgeted? I know I caught some in the budget review last month or 2 weeks ago, I guess. But it might be a good idea just for services, specifically wastewater. I mean, mowers and trucks and plows. Anything that we should be tuned into. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Nothing else on the agenda. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second by Mayor St. John. Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,